Morgan, and I'm going to talk to you about the misconception that cheerleading isn't a sport. Think about your high school cheerleading teams when you were in high school, and did they get the support? Did they get any support from anyone, or did they get just kind of dismissed by all the other sports teams? Throughout my high school cheerleading career, I cheered all 4 years, and I had to face the fact that the teams that I was cheering for, the teams that I was cheering for weren't cheering for me back. They weren't giving my team the support that we always gave to the other sports teams. They thought that we didn't do anything, that we didn't that we were annoying when we were at games, that all we did was kind of just stand around and cheer and yell and throw palms. Cheerleaders don't get the recognition really that they deserve for the hard work that they do. They do a lot more than a lot of people think. A sport, the definition of a sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others. And that's exactly what cheerleaders do. They do compete, and a lot of people fail to realize that. They don't just go, it is one of our main objectives to cheer for the other teams, but they don't just go to stand in skirts and cheer chants for other teams. According to the National Federation of High School Athletics Association, only 17 to 20 out of the 50 states consider cheerleading to be a sport. And whenever you're not considered to be the difference between considered a sport and not considered a sport in the states are, if you're considered a sport, you're allowed to do stunts, you're allowed to build pyramids, tumble and everything, and if you're not considered a sport, you're ground bound, which means that you can't go to competition because your own main objective is to cheer for your sports teams. Cheerleading is also very, very physically demanding, which a lot of people don't think that it is. But according to the U.S. Sports Academy, the National Center for Catastrophic Sports Injury Research at the University of North Carolina reports that 65.2% of all catastrophic injuries in sports are cheerleading related. And this is just, the graph that you see is showing the catastrophic injuries from 2001 to 2011. And as you can see, they kind of fluctuate in the beginning, and then a lot of teams in the past recent years have been going ground bound because of the injuries, so they've reduced. And the picture on the top is something that's not very uncommon to see at a competition, at a cheerleading competition, girls being taken out on stretchers because of things that happen during their performances. And the bottom is also not uncommon to see. Cheerleaders get dropped sometimes. People fly up in the air and people don't catch them, or they fly up in the air and come down wrong and they get hurt. It's a lot harder than most people really think that it is. And whenever you picture a pyramid, you probably picture 5 girls down on hands and knees, and then 3 on top of them, 2 on top of them, and 1 on top of her. But that's not really the case. These are some actual pyramids that cheerleaders consider pyramids. It's not just getting down on your hands and knees while somebody stands on your back. It does take skill. You have to do weight training. Me personally, my team had to do weight training 4 out of the 7 days a week in the summer at 6 a.m. with football players, because it does take weight training to be able to do this stuff. This problem affects high school cheerleaders because they don't get the recognition that they deserve for the hard work that they do put in for what they do, just like every other sport. And the solution to this problem is actually really simple. I'm not asking you to go do anything that involves anything physical. You don't have to go online, you don't have to write a letter. I just am asking that you open your minds and realize that it's not every other sport is, in opinion, it could be better, but it involves the exact same amount of skill and hard work and dedication as football or basketball or baseball or anything would. By opening your minds, this could help the cheerleaders in the future to be recognized not only by their peers, but by the state as a sport, meaning they could develop more skill and they could go on to have athletic scholarships just like all the other sports. And if no one opens their minds, the solution will never get better. I mean, the problem will never get better. And so what I'm really trying to say is that cheerleaders work just as hard as any other sport, and they deserve to be recognized for that. So the next time you're at a game, you're at a high school game, but like if you just find yourself at a high school game, take that 60 seconds to watch that full time out, because the cheerleaders aren't just standing around doing nothing usually if they're not a ground-bound team. And they'll kind of speak for themselves. They tumble, they'll throw girls in the air. You don't just wake up with that ability.